All right, well let's crack on, shall we? And if Iyengar goes around and says hello to anybody, please do so that we know what they're up to. I've got a feeling that's gonna start increasing at some point. All the avatars, the human avatars, are starting to introduce themselves, so maybe they're involved in some way. Right then, so today, last week we did structuring the healing journey. And we went through the flow diagram of structuring the healing journey, and we went through the form, structuring the healing journey form, to fill out, to note down a healing journey for our healing partners. So this week we're going to build on that, and we're going to do a lesson called Joining Network Healers. So joining network healers from a healer perspective. This is a load of our procedures of how we work in network healers. We're going to do a bit of an explanation about to remind you what network healers is, and go through the clinic and the health flow and the principles of network healers, and then go through a few other bits and pieces, go through a few procedures of how we work. And then the second half of the lesson, we're going to do a practical exercise. And the practical exercise is called Joining Network Healers. So this is a practical exercise that we do as a healer is joining network healers. It's a visualization exercise with a little bit of breath work, but mostly a visualization exercise about joining the network, basically. So we'll get to that in the second half of the lesson, though. So what I'm going to do first of all is share with you, to get going, I'm going to share with you a PDF document. So today's lesson is joining network healers from the perspective of a healer joining network healers. So the first thing I'm going to do is to share a PDF document with you, and that PDF document is called the AYA Guide to Network Healers, basically. So it's a guide. It's a guide we've put together, which has got everything in it about network healers. So it's in Classroom if you ever want to go back to it. So let me share that with you now, and we'll go through it. Right. So this guide, I'm going to go through it. Some bits I'm going to go through in detail, and some bits I'm going to scoot over because there's a lot of wording, and I'm not going to spend too long reading stuff out to you. But basically, I just want to introduce this guide to you. A guide to AYA Network Healers Symbiosis. And you can always tell what version it is. It's written on the front there. That's version 2. And I've updated it this month. So we've got a contents page. Don't need to talk too much about that. And some senior leadership positions within AYA Healing and AYA Network Healers. But let's first start here, which is the structure of AYA Healing. So this is the structure, the department structure of AYA. So you've got AYA Awaken Your Awareness up here. This is the parent organisation. And within AYA, there's different departments. And AYA Healing is one particular department of AYA. And if you've been on our website and had a look at all the structure, you'll know this already. But there's other departments in AYA, and AYA Healing is one of those departments. Now, within AYA Healing, there are different sub-departments. There is AYA Shanta, which is a word which means serenity. And this is our end-of-life support, end-of-life care. You've got AYA Care, which is a care provider, a specialist care provider, including domiciliary care. And you've got AYA NHS, Network Healers Symbiosis. So obviously that is the same letters as the National Health Service, of course, and that's not a coincidence, because we want to integrate in with the NHS, the UK NHS. So we are called AYA NHS, Network Healers Symbiosis. And our values are listed here. So I'll run through these very quickly. I mean, these are all fairly obvious to you. Unconditional love, compassion and kindness, tolerance and respect, openness and transparency, unity in our community, transformation, education, balance and stability, peace, inner and outer, joy and happiness, determination and perseverance, and patience. Those are our values that we have chosen for Aya and Aya Healing. And our approach in Network Healers is natural healing techniques, free virtual healing center. Now, the virtual healing center is something we haven't really talked about at all in this course, but and one of the reasons it's not really operational yet. But we are going to have a virtual healing center. It's going to be online, and it's going to have its website, and we're going to offer all sorts of different types of healing as part of that website. And not just energy healing, of course. There's going to be self-healing, there's going to be meditation training, there's going to be breathwork training, there's going to be music for health, there's going to be all sorts of stuff going on in there. There's going to be a phone service, a friend phone service. There's going to be all sorts of stuff going on that website. But, we plan to actually pay contractors as part of that as well. So we've got a wide net of different services that we can offer as part of that. But that needs money, of course, so that's kind of a little bit further down the line when we've got a lot more funding coming in. So that's our virtual healing centre. Free education system. All services are free. Individualised approach, as much as possible, mind you. Introspection and self-inquiry. And the silent revolution. Of course, in our approach, the silent revolution is one of the most important undercurrents of what we're trying to do. So we should never forget that. The whole point of Aya really is all about the silent revolution, which we had a lesson about the silent revolution earlier in the course. Right, next in this guide to network healers is the Aya Guide to Healing, which you've been taken through on lesson 2. And we talked a little bit about it last week as well. Let me just remind you again, because it's good to go through these things repeatedly, isn't it? Because there's a lot of information on this diagram. So the Aya Guide to Healing is what underpins the whole of network healers, really, because it is our definition of healing. It's what healing really means. And this goes way, way beyond what healing means to most people, because physical healing is only a small part of the broader context of healing, of course. So this diagram is for network healers to understand, not necessarily to pass on to healing partners unless they're really interested in it, because this goes into a level which is difficult to contextualize, if you know what I mean. The whole taking it to the level of the universe and the source is quite difficult to take on board sometimes. So this is mainly for healers, really, in network healers to understand that this is the root of the healing process. So there's the universal law of healing, which applies everywhere in the universe. And this is that separation of positive and negative. That's a duality. That produces the concept of suffering and the concept of separation of individuals in the universe. And the journey back to unity is the journey of healing that the source goes on. And that journey back to unity is also a journey back to peace. And through that journey, you have to go through balance of the two sides of the duality. You have to go through surrender, because you have to surrender that individual identity. And through that you find unity and peace. The universe finds peace through that. And that is the journey of healing. And it's also the journey towards self-realization. So that's the universal law of healing. So in more detail, the rest of the diagram is describing it in more detail from left to right, the journey of evolution, basically. I think I've put evolution down there on the bottom there, if you can see that, evolution. And that includes biological evolution, it includes universal evolution, evolution of planets, evolution of stars, spiritual evolution, everything. So we start on the left with a non-physical source, but a non-aware, non-self-aware physical source. It's still awareness itself, but it hasn't got self-awareness. because it loses its self-awareness in this duality, this positive and negative. And that positive and negative through the journey of evolution and the journey of life ends up creating these two aspects of duality, positive and negative emotions. Positive on top there, negative on the bottom there. And this is through the journey of life. And now we're talking about on this planet here, because these teardrops are, generally speaking, incarnations. It's showing different incarnations, really. And there is a very important thing that happens when duality is created, when positive and negative is created. There is an imbalance. There is an imbalance inherent in the universe, and it's balanced towards the negative. So that's why these teardrops are more negative than they are positive. They're more black color than they are red color. And there's a reason for that. And the reason is because the universe uses that to awaken from its suffering. That's why suffering exists, so that the universe awakens from that suffering. So here you can see, I'm not going to go through everything on this diagram, but just to give you a gist, you can see these cycles. These are cycles of suffering, or in Eastern tradition it's called samsara. Cycles of suffering, again and again and again, incarnation after incarnation, until one day the soul becomes aware of itself, aware of its reincarnation, and it starts the healing journey. That's here. You can see this line starting to come down towards the balance point. That is the healing journey, where that soul then starts to try in its life plans to stop producing negative karma, to try and balance out the positive and negative, and to reduce its levels of karma all round, which is why these are getting smaller and smaller and smaller towards the balance point, towards the unity. And here, when a person is got small enough amounts of karma and they're equal amounts of karma, then they're ready for a Kundalini awakening. And that is when that person goes through self-realization and they find that unity and infinite deep peace. So that's roughly that diagram. I don't think I should spend any more time on it than that. That was just a quick reminder. There's lots more on this diagram, of course, so if you want to go back and read it, it's attached separately in lesson 2. Okay, so moving on, because this is joining network healers, this lesson. So let's talk about clinic first, because we've got the clinic and health flow all within network healers, and you can call these programs. If network healers is a sub-department, these are 2 different programs within network healers. So let's talk about clinic first. So just to remind you about these principles of network healers. Now, I think we went through this in the first lesson. These petals of the daffodil. The daffodil is actually already a symbol of healing and rebirth. And on every petal, we've got a principle. There's 7 principles. There's 6 petals, you might notice, but there are 7 principles because the 7th principle is in the middle. So the Aya healing pyramid of self-healing is one of the principles of networked healers clinic. And that's just the self-healing journey. Because network healers clinic is all about self-healing and energy healing, both of them together. Next is the Book of Codes. Now we're going to talk about the Book of Codes in a couple of lessons' time. That's how we program healing energy. Karma emotions, which is emotional memory and reincarnation applied to health. And we've talked a lot about karma emotions, haven't we? But there is going to be another lesson on karma where we actually apply it in the healing journey. How do we take all this information and apply it to a healing partner? And energy healing is another principle. As I said, it's self-healing and energy healing. Those are the 2 main ingredients. Another principle is network of healers, of course. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And that actually fits with healing energy. When you put your healing energy together with other people, it actually intensifies that healing energy. So the effects that you can get by putting your energies together are far greater than the effects that if you all sent the energy separately. So that's the basis that we're working on in Network Healers. And bioenergy anatomy, sixth principle. So that's important enough to have a principle because it's so forgotten in modern healthcare and medicine. The bioenergy anatomy of our bodies has such a massive impact on our health. It's the basis of everything. I mean, karma, for example, is in the energy bodies. Knowing about karma and reincarnation is one of the most important things that we can do for healthcare and healing. So bioenergy anatomy is a big part of it, of course. And the seventh principle, the most important, is awareness itself. That's the symbol for awareness. So that is the seventh principle. And one could say the most important because it is the basis of everything. And in healing, it is the basis of, or the purpose of the whole universe, to become aware of itself. Awareness, becoming self-aware of itself. That's self-realization. The awareness, that's we've created that symbol. And it's a mixture of lots of other symbols. And we've got a lesson coming up in 2 lessons' time called Awareness, the seventh principle. So we're going to talk about awareness itself and what awareness actually is. And we'll explain that diagram in detail during that lesson. No worries. So, of course, the whole goal of healing for the universe is awareness, which is why it's our seventh principle. And 7 is a very important number, which we'll find out more about later on. So let me just read you this quickly about the clinic. This is just how the clinic works. Now I'll read it very quickly because I don't like just reading stuff to you. The Network Healers Clinic forms a network of qualified healers working together as one, offering our services completely free to the public. We use a natural blend of self-healing techniques and energy healing. The self-healing part is instruction and guidance for the recipient, in brackets healing partner, in their healing journey, and the energy healing is to give them a helping hand along the way. We would encourage the partner to attend a healing pyramid course as part of their training. So that's important, isn't it? We really want to encourage the healing partners in the clinic to attend our course of self-healing, because they're learning more about self-healing then, because self-healing is a massive part of the clinic, isn't it? And it means that the healer has less to teach as well, because otherwise the healer has got to teach them this stuff. Now, it doesn't always work out that way. Some people are not ready to join an online course. Some people are maybe not in that right state of mind yet. And it might be something that comes a bit further along the journey in their journey of healing. But, we want to encourage them to, and whenever they're ready to hopefully join that course. And it is a free course because all our services are free. Healing partners. So we do not use the term patient in the clinic. We prefer the term healing partner as it infers involvement in their own healing journey. Our method is based upon self-reliance and helping people to take responsibility for their own health and well-being. Our aim is to empower people by giving them the self-healing tools that they require to help themselves. A healing partnership is forged between the healer and the partner, and we are there to help and support the recipient throughout their healing journey. Or I should change that word for partner. Throughout their healing journey. Anyway, so moving on to healing hubs. So this is the structure of the healing hubs in the clinic. So we aim to produce lots and lots of these different hubs because, the ideal number of people working together is round about what we got here, if you know what I mean. If it goes to like 20 people, then it becomes so much less productive in meetings. You can't really work together really successfully in a group with 20 people. Individually is not how we're working. So around 7 people is ideal for a particular hub. Now, it's still part of the network and all the hubs will know each other, but in terms of working together with a healing list and sharing information, we're going to separate it out into 7 people. And in that hub, There'll be one consultant which will be leading the hub. Now, we're using the word consultant only because the NHS uses the word consultant for senior doctors, basically. And we just want to throw in a few things here and there which start to mirror a little bit how the NHS works, just so that it's easier for us to integrate at some point. So there'll be one consultant or leader of the hub, and that person will have a PhD. And don't worry, we haven't created that yet. So that will be coming in the future. So we're creating this course first, then we're going to expand it to a 3-year degree course, which all the healers in the hub will have a degree, this degree. And then we're going to create a PhD, and then the consultant will have a PhD. That's how we want to set it up. So each hub will be able to take on approximately 70 healing partners at any one time. That might be a little bit more if we go 12 each, but yeah, whatever, approximately. Right, that's clinic. Any questions about clinic? I'm going to be coming back to how clinic works in our procedures. Don't worry, that was just an introduction. Okay, so moving on to health flow. Now, we created health flow a long time after the clinic. We were doing clinic for years, really, and that was network healers. And then, it started to branch off a little bit, or we started thinking, how are we going to ramp this up on a large scale? Because if you think about it, if we want to integrate into the NHS, we have to think about we have to scale up, be able to scale up in some way. There's no point in remaining tiny and niche in this. We want to revolutionize healing, and we want to revolutionize healthcare. So we have to be able to scale up in some way. And in the clinic, it's very difficult to scale up because it's such a personalized service. It's one-to-one. It's healer and healing partner, which we need, and we want to work that way, but it's going to be impossible to really scale up with that model. So we created Health Flow. Health Flow is designed for people who, first of all, maybe are not able to do the self-healing part. They might be incapacitated, for example, or they may be very near end of life or something like that. Or they may not be interested in the slightest. They may not want to know about self-healing. They may not want to know about spiritual evolution. They just may have zero interest whatsoever, but still want healing. Now, of course, we would prefer that everybody learns something through the process of healing. But we have to remember that one of our highest values is unconditional love. That's unconditional. That is free from all conditions. So if people want healing from us, then we are there to give it. So Health Flow is for those purposes. And in that case, Health Flow can actually grow much bigger because there's no interactivity needed, or not much interactivity needed with the recipient of healing. So this is how we can scale up. This is how we can have a list of people that we are sending energy healing to, but there's no taking them on a healing journey or interactivity. So that means that the list can grow much bigger. So that's the whole point of Health Flow. So in terms of the principles are very similar, all apart from one. And that's this one here, the top one. And there's no self-healing involved in Health Flow. And we've replaced it by just simply putting unconditional love, because healing is sent unconditionally. But the rest of the principles are the same, of course. So let me read this bit to you now. The Network Healers Health Flow is a separate program within the Network Healers that offers energy healing to a list of recipients without the need for constant feedback or high levels of interaction. There are many cases in which this might apply. Perhaps the recipient is incapacitated and cannot fully engage with the process. Perhaps the recipient is not interested in the kind of teaching that we give as part of the self-healing program. Whatever the case may be, we will always open our door to those in need with unconditional. Recipients of healing. In Health Flow, we call the patient a recipient of healing due to the lack of interaction. The recipient does not need to sit down and perform exercises while the healing is being sent, as they would in the clinic. And I haven't mentioned that yet. We'll talk about that in a little bit more in a second. But in the clinic, we get them to actually sit down and receive the healing and do self-healing exercises. In Health Flow, we don't. They don't have to do anything in Health Flow. A minimum level of feedback is required, only to let us know how the recipient is getting on. Although the Health Flow is a very different setup to that of the clinic, the healing energy is coming from the same place. When it comes to the actual energy that's being sent via distance healing, there is no distinction between healers in the network. The healing energy from all our healers is collected together in one place before it is distributed to each recipient or healing partner individually. Now, it's very important that we're going to talk about that a bit later on in this document, and the practical exercise that we're going to do in a minute is based around that, about getting that energy together in one place. The Health Flow program does not have hubs as the clinic does. We have one list of recipients that is managed by a team of healers. That's Health Flow. And by the way, I don't know if I didn't mention it, but if anyone's wondering or if anyone's forgotten, symbiosis, network healers symbiosis. The definition of symbiosis is, it's a biological term, and it means living and working together in harmony for mutual benefit. Okay, no questions about Health Flow, no? Okay, so moving on then. So now let's talk about the tank, and this is going to be the subject of our exercise today as well, the practical exercise. So the tank is the place where the healing energy is collected before it's distributed to the recipients and healing partners. It's a virtual container in the collective mind, and each healer sends their healing energy to the tank. This can be done through intention or non-intention. And we're going to talk about intention versus non-intention next week. And next week's going to follow on from this lesson a little bit. So this virtual tank is a tank in the astral. It's a tank in the collective mind where all our healing energy is being sent to. And there is a two-stage process to the tank. The first stage is sending generalized healing energy to fill up the tank. The second stage is from the tank to the recipient. And this is where more advanced levels of programming are added to the healing energy. Now, we'll become clear later on why we've got this set up. It's mainly so that we can add as many people as we want to that first stage. But the second stage needs higher mind healing. So it would have to be healers who have developed higher mind healing. So the first stage is generalized healing energy to the tank. The second stage is moving that energy to the recipient with a decent level of programming. There is a joining procedure for healers to join the network and start sending their energy to the tank. And that's what we're going to do today as a practical exercise. Right, so that's the tank. It's a virtual tank, but it is a real place in the collective mind. This, energy has form to it. Energy, I would call it physical, even though it's not made of material energy. It's made of magnetic energy, but it has form to it. So it is actually a substance. And that actually goes somewhere in the collective mind. In the same way that when we send healing energy to somebody, it's actual energy that's going from you to them. Well, this is the same principle, that your energy is actually going to a place, a tank, in the collective mind. Right then, so the lake, and this painting was very generously painted for us so thank you for your lovely painting. The lake of healing energy. So this concept is for the healing partners. So in the Network Healers Clinic program, the healing partner is asked to sit once a day to receive the healing energy from the tank. They are asked to perform breathing exercises and vision meditations to help the energy enter their energy body and to get to the right place in their body. Now, first of all, the healing partner in the clinic is on a self-healing journey. That's part of the whole point, isn't it? So we need to get them to do self-healing exercises. That's one point. Second point is, a lot of people, when they're all blocked up, when their energy body is all blocked up with emotional energy, everything's seized and you sometimes can't get energy into them. So it's very important to actually try and unblock them while you're sending energy healing to them. Because quite often they can do a bit of breath work and then it just gets blocked up again straight away afterwards, because the mind and the emotions are constantly running. So it's always a good idea for the recipient to be doing breathwork exercises and meditations while you're sending energy healing to them. So that's what the lake is for. It's a vision meditation which has very kindly recorded for us. So we have a recording from which is a guided meditation. We have the lake, which has been painted by that they can look at while they're actually doing the meditation. And there's breath work that we get them to do as well as part of that, to accept the healing energy. So the concept of the lake of healing energy is what we give to the healing partner to visualize during those vision meditations. This, along with the guided meditation, helps them relax and accept the healing. The lake is not an actual place, it is a calming visualization, as opposed to the tank, which is an actual container of energy in the collective mind. Now, just in case anyone is a little bit confused about the sending of energy, because I know there was a question last week about healers sending energy to the healing partner. We're going to talk about this more next week, but the healer doesn't actually sit down to send healing energy to the partner, but the partner does sit down to accept the energy, because the energy is going to them. But the healer doesn't have to, because we work mainly with non-intention healing. And that means that the energy is going anyway. Your higher mind is doing it for you. That's the concept of non-intention. We'll talk more about that next week. Yes, that's exactly it. And yeah, now the thing is, when you join network healers, you tend to be going from intention towards non-intention completely. And if you're a healer, if you're a practicing healer already, this can be a bit of a strange transition, because you are used to sending healing energy, and that's the way you do it. You sit down and you form the intention to send it, whether it's through visualizations or whatever, or even using hands healing. Of course, that's an intention healing. So it can be a bit of a strange transition, and quite often you go through this period where you're kind of feeling you almost feel guilty that you're not sitting down because you think you should be doing something. Now, I think everyone probably goes through a bit of that, but as they transition through to completely non-intention, but eventually you realize that your high mind is doing it anyway. Yeah, and I'm so glad that's happened to you, because that just illustrates the point beautifully, and it's much better when you get the experience of it, so you get it straight away and you understand how it works. Yeah, so that's exactly it. And what you'll find is that in the end you don't even have to think about it. You've organized it. We have to organize it, so we have to know what's happening. We have to get the healing partner to sit down at a particular time, and it's at their choosing. The time that they sit down is at their choosing, which makes it even easier to organize. But in the end, the healer, you don't have to actually do anything in the end. Yeah, it's very useful, because otherwise we'd never be able to scale it up in that way, because trying to organize everybody, or even just a healer trying to organize sending healing energy to 12 different people, and when do you do it, and trying to organize a time with a healing partner, that's just it's yeah, no worries. But lower mind and higher mind healing, or intention versus non-intention, is a tricky subject, but we'll talk about that mainly next week. It's a tricky subject because sometimes when you form the intention, your high mind kicks in and sends non-intention healing at the same time as well. So it doesn't mean that you have to stop all forms of intention healing. If you go and give somebody hands healing, your higher mind may well send non-intention healing through at the same time. So you're kind of thinking, oh, well, what was that then? What intention or non-intention? So, yeah. Right, and So let me carry on with this because I think we're almost done with the diagram, the document. Right. I want to go through these standard operating procedures. There's one page for a general one, and then there's clinic and health flow. And then, let me do that first, and then I'll talk about the rest of it. So in our standard operating procedures, this is how we work. We have to write down steps of how we work because we want to scale up. We want to be a big organization that can help as many people as possible, basically. So we do have to find these structures and these ways of working. So there will be a first contact at some point, and that's probably going to evolve. So far, in the years that we've been working, it's mainly been people that we know. That's how we start, isn't it? But as we evolved and we have a website now and we have social media, I think probably the vast majority of people will be coming through either social media or the website or referrals from the NHS or other organisations, because we're going to start the research project soon and people will be coming through these medical organisations. So either way, there'll be a first contact, and we have an email address for that. So there's a first contact. We have a first email contact, which is info@aya.world. So that will be the, or I should also say, eventually it will come from the Virtual Healing Centre as well, because the Virtual Healing Centre, Network Healers will be a part of that Virtual Healing Centre. And then that first contact hopefully we'll have a team of people on that particular email, and then that will get sent to the admin team. And at the moment, the admin team is, so thank you for setting up the admin team, basically. And that will grow, the team will grow. But an information pack will be sent to the applicant or the person registering their interest. And are working on the information pack as we speak. And thank you for doing that. So then the person will go through triage, which is where some sort of analysis should be made of what that person actually needs and where they belong, whether it's Aya Care, Aya Shanta, Network Healers. And then joining form part 1 is given out. You've seen that from last lesson. Not massively important for the moment, but just so you know, there is a 2-part system to our joining forms. The first part is just writing down the basic details and all the legal stuff, all the legal questions we've got to ask, and of course the all-important signature for the disclaimer. And then that person will be assigned to either the clinic or the health flow, if assigned to Network Healers. And a healer will be assigned at that point as well, if it's the clinic. Joining form part 2 then. So if it's the clinic, there'll be a joining form part 2. And this is where the healer has to have a conversation with the person. It's the first proper conversation. And really it should be done face to face is the best way. And whether that is in person or video call doesn't really matter too much. Network Healers is going to be hopefully a wide-ranging program where distance is not an issue. So very often this is going to be video calls, if people are capable of doing that anyway, the healing partners, I mean. But there is a part 2 where the healer will write down as much as they can about that person, and that will then start the process of structuring the healing journey. And we learned about this last week. So the healing journey will be structured and that form will be filled out. And then we've got some partner record forms that we need to keep filling out throughout their healing journey, of course. And this is a legal requirement to keep records for that particular healing partner. And we have a special form for that. And that just needs to be filled out as you go. And then we have partner or recipient lists. This is an overall list of who is on the list of healing. In the hubs, there will be a separate list for each hub, managed by the consultant in the hub. And for the health flow, program, for the Health Flow program, that'll be managed by the Network Healers admin team. That'll be managed by the admin team, the list of people that energy is being paid. And just a final note about insurance. So I don't know if any of you have been wondering about this or not, but we do have a clinic insurance with Balins, and that insures all the healers in Network Healers. Now, it is specific to Network Healers. So what that means is that if a healer is part of AYA, but they also have a separate practice, then we don't insure them for anything outside of AYA. So just to be careful there, that if you do other healing practices or anything, you'll have to get separate insurance for that. All right then, so more specifically with the clinic, a few more things that are part of our procedures. High responsibility. So I've talked about that already. There's a high responsibility for the healing partner in the clinic, because it is an interactive process and they need to take responsibility for their own healing journey. And this is where they're learning all about self-healing and the spiritual journey. High feedback and interaction, talked about that already as well. Methods of communication. You know, a face-to-face meeting is always going to be best in any situation. Now that's fairly obvious, but that's not always going to be the case. And if it is the case, then that's fantastic. If a healer has somebody who's very close to them geographically, then excellent, face-to-face is brilliant. But in most cases, in Network Healers, it's not going to be the case because of this wide range of, or we're planning to make it a wide range. And the clinic we're talking about here, we haven't got any international partners in clinic yet, by the way. But maybe there will be, I don't know. But virtual meetings is the next best thing. So this is a virtual platform, so a video call. We really want to encourage people to use video calls as much as they possibly can. I know that some people, you get healing partners that apply and they never used a computer before, perhaps, or you know, it's very difficult sometimes to get the communication that you want. So all of this has to be taken with a pinch of salt and applied to whatever circumstances you're given. But as much as possible, we want to encourage the best forms of communication. Self-healing and learning, of course, I've mentioned that already. Clinic is all about education, the healing journey. So the healer needs to teach or guide the healing partner on their journey of healing. And if they can get them to join the pyramid course, then the healing partner needs to sit down for healing. So this is another thing which implies commitment, of course, commitment from the healing partner. They need to sit down and accept the healing, and they need to do self-healing exercises while they are sitting down. This is a massive part of the clinic. So at the start, you know, if they write down on their, you know, in the joining forms, for example, this is where the healer will find out, you know, whether they are committed to the healing process, so whether they belong in clinic or health flow. And the structure of a clinic hub, I've gone through that already as well. So that's clinic and health flow. So health flow is low responsibility. Talked about that. Low feedback and interaction. Now there has to be some interaction, of course. We're going to try and encourage email communication the most. At the moment, by the way, at the moment, the Health Flow program is a kind of an evolution. So it's still a bit of a mix between clinic people and moving towards what Health Flow is going to be. So it's in a process of transition, to be honest with you. But eventually, I think that and you know, it's not too big at the moment. So there's quite a lot of interaction going on with some people on Health Flow. But I think we'll just see how it evolves. I think that the list will gradually get bigger and bigger until the interaction becomes less and less and less. And then at some point in the future, it's just going to be very minimal. And it's going to probably all be by email, I would guess. And that's probably a good thing, because then the emails can be kept as records. Now, we want to always keep as much record as possible, but there's going to be too many people on that list to actually have a healing partner record form. So we need to keep the communication or records of the communication. The best way to do that is by creating a special folder in the email account and have that as an official folder where the emails get put into that folder and kept as official records. So the structure of the Health Flow program, the Health Flow program is not split up into hubs, as it's far less customized service, so less time consuming for each recipient. Okay, I've gone through most of this already. The list will be overseen by a team of healers led by a manager. The recipients on the list will not be assigned a healer, as this is not a fully personalized service, and may be contacted by any of the Health Flow managing team under the signature of the Aya Healing team. And that is, so again, thank you for volunteering to start managing the Health Flow. Okay, last two little things to mention here. Hands healing and other therapies. So as I've mentioned before, Aya kind of evolves. We start off with one thing and it sort of grows, and as it grows, it sort of buds off into other things. You know, network healers started just as network healers, and then Health Flow and Clinic emerged from that. Now, we do want to do lots of other stuff with Aya. We want to have a hands healing, specific hands healing section. We want to have a section that deals with other therapies. So we want to have a list of registered practitioners who we could recommend to people. If somebody comes along and says, I'd really love to do some of this type of therapy, and we go, yeah, of course, we'll have a look through our list. Here, we'll put you in touch with this person. We want to do that. But where does this sit at the moment? Which department does it sit? We haven't really got there yet to assign a full department to it or program. So at the moment, hands healing and other therapies sit within the Health Flow department. But eventually they will bud off into their own programs within Network Healers. There we go. So that's our procedures for the moment, and this is always evolving, of course. So, you know, next year there'll probably be a new version. Right, and so the rest of this document, I'm not going to go through in great detail, but I'm going to show you it, obviously. And part of it is that a question or not? Yes. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Let me just finish this bit off, and then let's stop for a break. It's only going to be a few minutes. Right, and so the next bit is structuring the healing journey, which we went through in detail last week. Now, this is the bit I really want to get to. This is our code of conduct. Now, as part of any accreditation system, you have to have a code of conduct. So what we've done is we thought, well, we want to integrate into the NHS, so let's use the doctor's code of conduct that they use. So we've used that as a base and we've adapted it slightly for Aya Network Healers. And that is called the Good Medical Practice Guide. So I'm not going to go through this now because it's just about 9 pages of writing. But I would like you guys to read it, please. So that's part of the assignment for this lesson, is to just read through this. And if you have any comments, we would like to hear your comments, because it's a brand new guide. And if you've got anything, if you see anything that doesn't apply to a healer, or if you think of anything that should be in there that's not in there, then please put it on the chat, because this will evolve as well. So that's the Good Medical Practice Guide. It's got 4 domains to it, and it's that long. It's not too bad. And I've separated that out into a PDF, and that's attached to the classwork as well. So you can print it if you want. All right, that's almost it. There are some stuff tagged onto the end of this. There's a disciplinary procedure, which we have to have in there legally. Not really important to read unless you're interested. There's a grievance procedure in there, which is also legally needed. And then there's a page on healing and the law, which just lists organisations and acts of parliament that we have to comply to, and a list of policies which we need, which is about half written. It's an ongoing process of policy writing. And there we are. That's that document. Right, let's stop for a break, shall we? See you guys in a few minutes. Right then, so the next half, or the remainder of this lesson, we're going to do a little exercise. Now, I'm going to first start by sharing the lesson assignment and just read it to you. And this is the actual assignment that you can go and read, of course, in classroom. So now there's 2 sections. The section 1 is just what I just mentioned, to read the Good Medical Practice Guide and comment on it if you find anything to comment on. But as long as you guys read it, that's the most important thing. Now, moving on, section 2 is this exercise here, because it's also part of the assignment to what we're going to do today in this exercise, to go away and do it yourself a little bit as well. So the Joining Network Healers exercise is a vision exercise for new healers joining the network. The idea is to create a network of brow chakra cords all connected together and working as one in harmony. This greatly amplifies the healing capacity. The first part of the exercise focuses on creating a permanent brow chakra link with other healers. And the second part introduces the idea of the healing tank of energy. So, part 1. We'll do part 1 first. I'll read part 1 and then we'll go on to part 2 afterwards. So part 1 is going to be about joining the network of brow chakra cords. Part 2 is going to be about the healing tank of energy. So part 1. So with eyes closed, so I'll read this through and then we'll see if there's any questions, and then we'll sit there with our eyes closed and we'll do the exercise together. So part 1, with eyes closed, perform a few rounds of golden energy yogic breathing to calm the lower mind and to activate the energy circulation in the energy body. I'm going to go through that in just a second, the yogic breathing. So in case anybody hasn't done it before, I'm going to do that with you. So next is visualize all the healers sitting around in a large circle facing each other. It's not necessary to visualize each face or count out exactly how many people there are. Just know that these people are the group of network healers. And by the way, that will grow eventually. You know, one day in the future, that's going to be hundreds and hundreds of people. So it doesn't really matter how many people you see right now or their faces. But you are visualizing sat in a circle facing each other. Start to visualize a golden energy chakra cord coming out of your brow chakra. And this cord is reaching out and joining with the brow chakras of each and every other healer. This means that you have multiple cords coming out of your brow chakra and you're connecting to every other healer in the group. Now you can kind of do this however you want, to be honest with you, and just wait to see what your higher mind gives you. Your higher mind may give you something different. This is a suggestion. And it'll be very interesting to see if your higher minds give you something else, or, you know, just slightly in a different format. As you look about, you can see all other healers also have a chakra cord connection with every other healer. It's a network of connected brow chakras. If you lose concentration at any point, gently bring your focus back to the exercise and build the chakra cords up again from the beginning. Treat this like a type of meditation. As I was just saying, if your higher mind takes over and you start to see visions that you do not seem to be in control of, allow this to happen. Your higher mind may be showing you something for a reason. The visualization is a base to start from, and your higher mind can easily build on this and show you more. And lastly, do not at any point cut any of the connections, even at the end of the exercise. So basically that means leave these connections open forever. These brow chakra connections need to become solid, and the way they become solid is by leaving them there and constantly using them. That's how chakra cords grow in solidity, if you know what I mean. Right, so that's the first part of the exercise. So, any questions? Yeah, so we have to teach protection, self-protection as part of the course, because all healers have to know about this, how to protect themselves. And it's also something that they can teach their healing partners as well, because this kind of stuff needs to be taught to everyone. But as you go through self-realization, everything kind of changes. You no longer actually need to do any self-protection, but it's a kind of an evolution. Anybody at this stage of Kundalini awakening, or actually you're all into the phase of self-realization, at that point, your high mind is doing it all for you. There's absolutely no need to protect. That's one thing. But we do have to teach the concept of it in the course. Now, the next thing is that in this particular exercise anyway, the brow chakras that you are connecting are with other people. So when you cut a chakra cord, you're cutting it to a particular person. And you can leave other chakra cords open to another person. Let's say in the heart chakra, if you might have a chakra cord going to 5 different people. You can just cut one of them and leave the rest of them open. So it's only the problematic ones that you really need to be cutting. And the third point is that the brow chakra actually doesn't have emotional energy running through it. So it's not a case of negative emotional energy. So there's no need to cut it for that reason. There's other reasons why you need to cut it, but certainly not for emotional energy. Yeah, that's about it. Any other questions about that exercise? Well, actually, it is everyone in Network Healers, yes. But it doesn't matter. You don't need to try and visualize everybody, and you don't need to try and visualize just your hub. It doesn't really matter how many people you visualize. Just know that it's Network Healers. But it is actually everyone in Network Healers, because the energy is coming from everybody's higher mind. We've got to remember that this is a higher mind operation, not a lower mind operation. So the higher minds know what they're doing. The higher minds are doing all this, and it's coming from all of them, really. What we're doing here down on the ground is just writing stuff out and documenting stuff. That's all we're doing, really. This is really a higher mind operation. Okay, everyone happy with that visualization? Okay, I'm just going to run through the breath work for you, because we should start by doing a bit of breath work just to energize the system. So golden energy, or let's just start with basic yogic breathing, to be honest. So just to remind you guys, and if you guys, some of you may not have done it. So on the this is a very easy deep breathing rhythm. It's one of the most basic breathing rhythms in pranayama yoga. So there's a deep breathing rhythm to get, a bit of technique to get right, and a bit of counting. So on the in-breath, belly comes out first, then the chest comes out, and then you fill right up to the top. So you jam as much air into your lungs as you possibly can, and then you pause. You pause, you hold your breath for only just 2 or 3 seconds or so. And then you let all the air out in a long, slow, steady stream, all the way down to the bottom of the breath, and then you pause again at the bottom of the breath for a couple of seconds or so. And then repeat. So let me just... And the counting is around the count of 4 or 5 on the in-breath, hold for 2 or 3, and then out for the count of 4 or 5, and then hold for 2 or 3. But those are approximate, because everybody's lungs are slightly different sizes, so you may not get to 4 or 5, but it's all approximate, don't worry. Okay, so let me just demonstrate that. A couple of rounds. There we go, and round. Everyone happy with that? We'll try a bit of that first, and then we'll have a quick chat and then go into the visualization, okay? So I'll let you know when to stop, and it will only be about 7 breaths or so go for it. Okay, so there's a lot more to those exercises, which we can talk about later on. We are going to do some self-healing exercises in coming lessons, as we talked about recently. Stop presenting that. Okay, so that energizes, that kick-starts the energy body and energizes everything. Now, let's do the visualization now. So we're going to close our eyes for about 5 minutes or so. So first of all, you want to start visualizing the people facing each other in the circle. And then you want to start seeing that growth of that brow chakra cord to other healers in the network. And see those brow chakra cords start moving. And if you want, you can elaborate on it. You can start seeing energy transferring to everybody, and visualize the concept of that network, or joining that network of brow chakra. Okay, let's start. I'll let you know when to stop. Did anybody see a vision that they weren't expecting, or did your higher mind elaborate on it at all? Okay. Okay, no, that's good. That was only like 5 minutes, and in the actual exercise, I've written in to spend about 10 minutes on each part. So yeah, that would make sense, right? Excellent. Yeah, it's always good when your high mind throws a little bit extra in. And also, another thing that you can try and do is try and look at the structure of the chord and see what detail that you can see on the actual chakra chord. This is always an interesting one. I don't know why, but quite often people, when they look at the chord, they see particular things in the chord. All right, and so part 2. Using the same large circle of healers, and while the network is still joined together by all their brow chakras, start to visualize a large tank in the center of the group. It's up to you exactly how you see this tank and what it's made of. However, a suggestion could be to see a glass tank so that you can see what's inside it. Start to visualize that a stream of golden energy is now pouring out of your brow chakra and into this virtual tank. You look around and you see that other healers also have a stream of golden energy pouring into the tank. All of the brow chakra connections are still connected. So all those chakra cords are still connected to each other, but you've got this additional stream of golden energy going into the tank. So form the intention in your mind that this is healing energy that you are sending, but of a general, non-specific nature. It's golden energy healing that will be used for many different people. So the intention you form there ensures that it's a basic level of programming, that a basic level of programming has been applied to the energy, transforming it from raw energy to general healing energy. Now, the further layers of the programming will be added in the distribution phase. That's the second phase of the healing process. We're going to talk about that next week. So that's not part of this visualization when it goes from the tank to the recipient. We'll do that next week. So this is sending golden energy or healing golden energy to the tank. So that golden energy that fills up the tank is a very basic form of healing energy. So it's got layers of programming on it that make it healing energy, but it's not finished yet. That will be in the second stage. Right, you see this level of golden energy in the tank rising higher and higher, and as it gets to the top, the tank starts to get bigger and bigger, and that's it. Okay, any questions about that? So it's very similar to the same one, almost the same, apart from you're adding that tank of golden healing energy, and it's filling from everybody's brow chakra, another chakra cord to the tank. Happy with that? All right. Let's do the breath work again, just briefly, just a few minutes of breath work, and then we'll do the visualization in just a second. So, okay, go for it. We'll do less this time. Okay. Keep a nice vertical spine for this one. And use your nose if you can. Try to cram as much air into your lungs as you possibly can, and then empty them out as empty as you possibly can. Now let's just go straight into the visualization. I think that'll do. Start coming back now. Okay, how was that? Did everyone manage that okay? Anyone else, or is that about everyone? All right, great. Well, I think we're about there for the lesson. I think that's about it. So the assignment is literally just to read through the good medical practice guide and make some notes if you've got any comments on it at all. And then redo this little exercise again, and it's up to you how much time you spend on it or how often you do it. But what you'll find is that it's important to do it to start with, and then as time goes past, you do it less and less, and you find that you can actually see it. You find eventually that it's always there. So it might take a little bit of time at the start to actually visualize it and to form it, but then the more you do it, eventually you can just close your eyes and it's just all there. It's all there and it's all happening all the time, and you start to realize that. All right, lovely. Well, any other questions or comments about what we've done today? Excellent. Well, next week we'll do some lesson stuff, some theory stuff, and then we'll do another practical like that with the second stage involved as well. And about self-healing exercises in general, we are going to now bring in a few self-healing exercises as the lessons progress now and until the end. we're going to probably do some more self-healing exercises. So we'll go through the 3 major breath works that we teach as part of the self-healing pyramid course, and we'll do some guided meditations as well. We'll kind of just sprinkle them out at the end or the second halves of the lessons as we go. Lovely. All right, well, shall we leave it there? Have a good week, and we'll see you next week. All right, bye-bye.